So I'm just gonna be real honest about today's video. It was 100% influenced by a book that I recently got called The Way of the Cocktail. It was written by a woman named Julia Momose. I have sort of recently kind of become a fan of. As I was going through that book, I saw a section on matcha and it got my brain all going. And so today, 2 of the 3 cocktails that we're doing are gonna be straight out of that book. These are just cocktails that I saw in the book and I was like, I have to taste these now. And so I might as well just do it on camera. I drink a lot of matcha. Matcha gives me a nice, mellow caffeine kick in the morning. I can drink it in the middle of the day and not be kept up all night. You get a good energy boost from it and you don't crash. Not to mention, it has all sorts of health benefits from improving heart health to boosting immunity, improved focus, and its calorie burning properties. So it's only natural that when I find something I really like and something that's super healthy, that I'll really start to think super hard about how to cancel out all of those benefits and put it in cocktails and put it in booze. Today's video is sponsored by one of my favorite companies, Shaker & Spoon. Shaker & Spoon is a monthly subscription box service that delivers the craft cocktail experience right to your door. Each box contains 3 recipes from world-class bartenders, all centered around one spirit. So all you need to do is buy 1 bottle and Shaker & Spoon does the rest. Each box contains enough ingredients to make 4 cocktails for each recipe, so 12 cocktails total. And every box has everything that you'll need, from bitters to syrups to tinctures, sodas, garnishes, it's all there. And another thing that's really great is that it kind of gets you outside of your comfort zone. So instead of just making the same cocktails that you always make all the time, every box brings you a new booze and new ingredients and new techniques, so you can really get out there and explore the world of cocktails. So click the link below and type in Barfly at checkout or go to shakerandspoon.com/Barfly for $28 off your first box. And guess what, guys? Inside each box, it's like they shrunk me down and put me inside there. And then I come out and teach you how to make cocktails at home. How amazing would that be? So what is matcha? Matcha is a finely ground powder made from specially grown and harvested tea leaves. The green tea leaves used for matcha are shade grown under tents for 3 to 4 weeks before they're harvested. Once they're harvested, they go through this process of steaming, cooking, and drying, then they're ground into a fine powder and used for tea ceremonies. The flavor profile of matcha can shift depending on the type of tea you buy, but generally it's got a mellow, vegetal, kind of grassy flavor. It's a little bit bitter on the finish and has a nice savory kick as well. I also, full disclosure, learned from Julia Momose's book that matcha should be prepared a la minute because pre-batched matcha has a tendency to oxidize, get overly bitter, and change color. All right, I think that's enough dribble drabble for today. Let's get into making some matcha cocktails. So the first cocktail we're doing today is a no ABV cocktail called a Hishimochi Bitters and Soda. This was one that I culled from The Way of the Cocktail by Julia Momose, and I'm very interested to taste it. So to prepare matcha properly and to make sure that it doesn't clump, you're gonna need a few different things. First, you're gonna need a little bowl. You're gonna need a tea strainer, a whisk, and of course your matcha. First thing we're gonna do is 1/4 teaspoon of matcha, and then we are going to sift it into our bowl here like this. And we do this to prevent clumping when we add water. And we'll add 1 ounce of water. And to this, we're gonna add 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, and then we're gonna whisk it again to combine it. So usually if you order this at Kamiko, and the way that it is described in the book is to actually add the ice in first and then prep your matcha and then pour out the residual water, but my glass is already chilled, and so I decided to build this a little bit differently. So we're just gonna add in our ice, and then we are gonna add in our matcha. 3 to 4 ounces of soda water, slowly, so that it layers. 6 to 7 dashes of Peychauds bitters on top like so.
So not entirely no ABV.
Well, wait a minute. This is, everybody's gonna be like, oh, bitters has alcohol in it, so it's not a low ABV. But I mean, it's not no ABV, but, and yes, technically it has alcohol, but the amount of matcha plus the amount of soda water that you have in there basically cancels out the small amount of alcohol from 7 dashes of bitters. And so I think that this can be called a no ABV cocktail just because the volume of water is going to cancel that. I mean, it's not enough alcohol to say that there is alcohol in here, you know? I don't know if I would give this to somebody who was alcoholic or something, but at the same time, there's not enough bitters in here to warrant this is alcoholic, I don't think. I mean, it's probably pretty high proof, 35% alcohol. All right, let's give it a whirl. Oh yeah, oh, that's good. I like it, yeah. I mean, sweet matcha is just really nice, but I gotta say, like, I wanna like kind of get this down in there and really taste the culmination of the bitters and the, yeah. You get a lot of those earthy tones, a little bit of that vegetalness. We've put enough simple syrup in there at 3/4 an ounce to really sweeten that matcha, and sweet matcha is really good. What's really nice though is that the Peychauds bitters has a lot of anise, some cardamom, and there's some spice notes in there that play really, really, really well with the matcha. And so this is just like a fantastic cocktail. It also is stunning to look at, and it plays with the different densities of its ingredients, which I really like a lot. This is my, like, I wish this could just be at every bar so it could be my go-to, like, no ABV cocktail pretty much. That's good. That was good. So the next cocktail we're doing is called the First Lady. It was created by a bartender named Grant Wheeler, who worked at The Garret in New York City. All right, first thing we're gonna do, grab our tin and give ourselves 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of Cointreau, or any triple sec really, 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. We're gonna do a full teaspoon of matcha powder, which is a lot, 1.5 ounces of gin, 2 basil leaves. Gonna give it a little press. And last but not least, an egg white. Let's give it that emulsifying shake. Which actually serves to break up the matcha as well. Okay, now usually I would do just a big cube of ice in this cocktail, but I'm thinking I need a little bit more dilution without killing that foam. So I'm actually gonna do this big ice and then a little cheater cube as well inside this drink. We're gonna lock that in, and we are going to get Collins glass. And the recipe calls for this to be filled with ice. Okay, give it a shake. We're gonna try and shake until that cheater cube is completely gone. I think that's it. I think that's it, buddy. Let's give it a strain. We're gonna garnish with a couple perky basil leaves. Very nice. Very nice. You get the earthiness of the matcha playing with that lemon. You get a little orange note and a little sharpness from the Cointreau. The botanicals of the gin are there. Just playing really nicely with the matcha. Just like a very nice, sharp, sour style drink. So there it is, the First Lady. So for the last cocktail in which we are exploring matcha, we are going to be doing the Yuzu Salty Dog, which is going back to the Julia Momose book, The Way of the Cocktail. This was another one that kind of plays with density and is just really cool looking. So apparently the Salty Dog is really, really, really popular in Japan. And although I have made quite a few Salty Dogs, it's really not that popular here, but apparently in Japan it's really big. And so this is just a really nice, very simple reconstruction of that drink done in a very pleasing way. I have high hopes for it. But if it's as good as the last cocktail, oh, chef's kiss. All right, let's get into it. So first thing we're gonna do here, we're gonna cut little grapefruit, and we're actually gonna just rim the half a wheel outside the glass as we do. And we're just gonna roll it in a little fleur de sel here. First thing we're gonna do is 1.5 ounces of grapefruit juice. It can be very hard to find fresh yuzu juice, but you can get it on Amazon, and that is exactly what I did. But if you can get fresh, then I always recommend fresh. And we're gonna do 1/2 ounce of the yuzu juice and 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. And we're gonna add some ice into our glass like so. I'm going to briefly stir to combine. I'm gonna take our shaking set here, put that aside. 1/4 teaspoon of matcha into the bottom of our tin. 1.25 ounces of the gin specified in the book, which is this Kyoto Distillery Kino B dry gin. And it is about 60 bucks a bottle, so it's a little bit steeper. Get your hands on this. The Roku gin will work really well as well. The Roku gin is gonna be a little bit more citrusy. It's got citrus in it, but it's like got a little bit more deep kind of juniper flavor to it. Give it a shake. And then we are going to strain over the ice so that it layers on top, like so. This is nicely layered, very beautiful. Just taste it separately and together. Oh, that's good. Now let's add this all together. Oh yeah. Oh, the gin complements the matcha so well. So it's funny, is like yuzu, it's often described as like a cross between like lemon, lime, and grapefruit, right? Because it's like, it's got a little bit of that bitterness. It's really sharp in flavor and super citrusy, but then also kind of sweet. It complements the grapefruit so well, and then you have that ½ ounce of simple syrup that's balancing it. It's really nice. The salt on the rim is going to enhance all the flavors. What's really great about this cocktail is that it tastes almost like a two-part cocktail. The very first thing you get is the gin and all the botanicals of the gin, a little bit of that juniper. Then you get the kind of vegetal, kind of mellowness of the matcha. And then after that, the grapefruit, yuzu, and sugar hits you. This is a great drink. There you go. Another amazing drink from Julia Momose. And there you have the Yuzu Salty Dog. All right, I think that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. So we're just gonna cut it right here. Have some matcha cocktails and enjoy your summer.